Hey everyone, welcome to the latest installment of The Way It Is. And I'm your host, Luca and Sam with Remax Service First Realty, joined by my team member, Sam Myers, for this podcast because we thought it was important at this stage, the end of May, last month to go essentially before the half year is over. And, there's a lot of grumblings out there in the world in terms of what's happening in the marketplace. Prices are falling, all that kind of stuff. So we want to just sort of put things into perspective and I guess set the record straight and tell people the way it is. So that said, and Sam is the technical guru and the stats guy, so he's got some graphs that we'll be sharing on the podcast as well. So essentially, where we are at is that certainly the market is changing. No question about it. Period. End of story. How is it changing? Well, it's changing because of, again, so in let's go back a bit. So obviously the pandemic, we saw the highest increases in property values in the history of real estate market across the country, around the world, period. So now in 2022, January and February basically was a perfect storm of variables that conspired to the frenetic, frenzied market that we saw with the highest values in the history of the market, even higher than had already been seen during the pandemic. And those variables were the time of year when historically an already low inventory is that much lower. There was literally nothing on the market, or very little. So when a place did come on the market, there still was this pent up demand. Rates were still exceptionally low because there was not even a grumbling yet of rate hikes, it was something off in the distance. And so it was literally piranha in a pool that as soon as a property came on, they just fed on it and jumped on it and gone. And we saw some prices that even to this day are staggering. So that was that perfect storm. So coming out of that perfect storm, though, we came into the spring market of Kingston. We saw relocation starting to flow through. Of course, D&D is a big employer here. Their relocation started, so we saw seeing more inventory come on the market. And every day we started seeing more inventory on the market. Even today we're seeing, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen continually 40, 50, 60, upwards of 60 properties a day come on. And then let's put that into perspective as well, in that a lot of those are properties, though, that didn't sell for any number of reasons, primarily because of the shifting in the market and the pricing that was happening, and they're getting recycled. Then we've had a rate hike. We've had Russia invading Ukraine. We've got supply chain issues. We've got record-setting inflation. So we've got prices at the gas pumps that no one ever wants to see again, and sadly are still with us. We've got prices at the grocery store that no one wants to see that are still with us. So all of these variables now are conspiring to create a little bit of, I guess, fear or doubt in some minds of some buyers. But primarily, and what's creating that is that buyers aren't as, I guess, eager to jump in. And sorry, Sam, I know you got some things to say. I just want to finish off this part. But what the other part of that, though, is there are still cases, though, in today's marketplace where location and product and price still rule the day, and the market is still strong. There's still demand for certain locations, certain properties, and we're seeing that because we're still seeing the multiple offers. We're still seeing some properties sell for over the asking price, albeit that in January, February, there would have been double-digit multiple offers. Now there's single-digit multiple offers, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 6, maybe 9, maybe 2. But that's the difference. So when people say prices are dropping, that really bugs the crap out of me. And the reason I say that is because, and this is one of the graphs that Sam had, and I'll let you get in that part now then, Sam.
Sure, yeah. So kind of looking at two graphs here. One is for almost the entire Ontario Real Estate Board, and then one is for Kingston as a whole. One thing you'll notice is that Kingston is a pretty stable market, and it's one of the reasons why it's a top tier investment opportunity kind of here in this area. because there's a slight variation and it's towards Kingston's favor. But for starters, when people are saying that prices are dropping and there's going to be a crash and stuff like that, and it's already happening and whatnot, it's just because people got caught up in that February pricing and then the trend didn't continue. Because if we look at the graph over time spread out, you almost even wouldn't even notice the decrease because it's been kind of hardly there. So, for example, in February, the average sale of a purchase price for a home was $708,000, which is crazy in Kingston because in 2020 it was in the 400,000 range.
Right.
So, but since February, prices have come down a little bit to 670,000. So really not that much of a drop, but they did drop. $670,000 is still historically better, above everything else that we've seen in the past. It was just February is at peak, and now we're looking for an adjustment down. If we look at the whole Ontario market, the prices have kind of come back to what things were in the prices of things in December. So everything kind of went upwards till February, and now we're kind of back on the December prices, but still significantly above where we were before. So
right, and significantly above pre-pandemic levels, any levels, period. And so that's where I get frustrated. And so yes, technically, have they dropped from January and February record-setting, non-sustainable, maybe never to happen again levels? Yes. Did we ever think that that was sustainable? No. If you did, then shame on you, then, right? So, because none of us felt it was sustainable, that's for sure. So, and the problem that we're seeing today, and it's partly real estate driven, but partly client driven too, is that we're in this transition now and people aren't adjusting fast enough to it. Realtors and people, the general public alike, meaning that the market's already done its job for you. The market has already set the highest price your property has been worth in the last 40 years. That's it. It's done that. But people now are still expecting that to get even improved upon because of what happened in January and February. And you can't operate in a bubble and you can't operate in January and February. So, and I mean, hey, is there an argument that maybe you should wait till next January and February to sell your house? Who knows? Maybe, but that's hard to say. I mean, I've never had the crystal ball, as I've said before. But so that's my point is, are we shifting? Is the market stabilizing? 100%. Are we going back to the market pre-pandemic when it was still active? There's still properties coming up. I've gotten, with all the properties coming up today, I've gotten my phone's rung off the hook from buyers that are interested in this, interested in wanting to see that. What's about that? So people are still out there. People are still wanting to buy properties. Again, location dependent, property dependent, but you can't put your property on the market at already the top market value expecting to get lottery money. Yeah, it's not going to happen anymore because buyers have choice now. They have choice that's coming on the market, and they don't have guns to their heads anymore because that's the final variable that everybody seems to have forgotten about is COVID. And the pandemic seemingly has, well, vanished, I guess, if you walk around Kingston, but it's flowed through rather, and people aren't as that whole rush to get out of wherever they were or urban centers or buy this or buy that to have my home that has everything if I'm going to work remotely. That's certainly diminished, right?
Yeah. I mean, and just to go back to first, word of advice to all realtors and people out there, do not use February purchase or sale prices as comparables for anything. It is not relevant whatsoever. It was the perfect storm that Luca just kind of explained. But yeah, like, buyers are spread out. Listings are at an all-time high since 2020, right? So we've total listings on the market have crushed the numbers that happened in 2021 and are back at that 2020 levels. Still historically low, which is still creating high prices, but it spreads everyone out. And that's why you don't see 19 offers on a given home anymore. It's 3, 4, as long as they're priced appropriately. And yeah.
And of course, the relationship between selling and buying is a two-sided coin, right? It's the double-edged sword. So on the buying side, the benefit to buyers, sadly, your interest rates are going to go up again in June. And so every time interest rates go up, unfortunately, certain buyers are taken out of the market just simply because of affordability. The government thinks they're helping, and you hear all these sound bites during the election about a housing crisis. Well, counterintuitively, interest rate hikes actually hurt buyers, or a certain percentage of buyers that then don't qualify for as much money anymore. And they're still getting priced out of the market because prices haven't dropped to, 10 years ago levels or anything like that. Right.
And everyone says that, I mean, it gives people more ability to save for the smaller down payment that's needed. How do you save for that down payment when interest is at an all-time high, groceries are all-time high, and gas prices are
inflation is at 6.2, right? Yeah, so it's a bit of a vicious circle.
Yeah.
So those buyers, though, I guess the positive byproduct of it, though, because there's always winners and losers in all these equations, sadly, is that those buyers that are still qualifying and able to stay in the market, well, then it's just as we just described. You're going to have a situation where you've got inventory to choose from. You've got time to look at properties. You've got time to make this. You've even got time. Now you can make offers conditionally. You can make offers conditional on financing.
On a home inspection.
Conditional on a home inspection, which we haven't seen in 2+ years. So yes, there's a negative, but there's a positive side to that. If you're a seller, if you're trying to hit home runs, maybe this isn't your time. Although again, let's temper that, because your house is still done the best it's ever going to do in the last 40 years.
Historically, it's a home run.
Historically,
based on February, maybe not.
And now it's a triple compared to February is what it is versus a home run, if we're using the baseball analogy or metaphor. So that's just it. So if you need to sell, though, and if you're getting the right information and you're getting, and your goals are tempered by what's happening in the marketplace, you're still going to succeed. You're still going to achieve your goals. And again, it's and I guess woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? I mean, we all should have listed our homes in January and February, and then nobody would have anything to buy, right? We would have satisfied the entire demand, and everybody would have made off like bandits. And in fact, but the problem is nobody would have houses to live in. But so the point being, though, that it's all timing. It's all about what you're trying to accomplish. If you don't need to sell and you're just trying to play the market, then I guess that's up to you whether you still want to throw the dice and risk it or whatever. The
only viable strategy for that, and it's certainly still a risk, is obviously we're going to experience maybe another wipeout of a certain level of buyers with the new interest rate hike. So putting your property on the market now, you might have access to more buyers, might get more value, and then you relocate in a month from now, you might be relocating into a home that's less. So now you can do some instead of just lateral moves like before.
Moving up, you can actually move laterally, or maybe make a gain potentially, or something, depending on what you want to do. And that's the thing. And the market, though, is still a challenge. The unfortunate caveat is the market is still a challenge for those buyers that are literally qualified for less than what the current average pricing is of $670,000, because it's still challenging in those price ranges of that 300 to 400 to 500,000. And that's where interest rate hikes are adversely affecting those buyer groups, which are the ones that I dare say need housing the most, I would think, or want to be the first time buyers or enter the marketplace, right? Because those buying in those upper levels are they're parlaying sort of their equity that they have now in their properties. And again, we're also experiencing still the buyers from out of town. I mean, not to the same full migration that was happening in January, February, but we are still seeing there's still people coming in from out of town. And let's understand this: in the GTA, not just the GTA, but all over the country, we're having a demographic, boomers, I guess, if you want to call them, that are inheriting generational wealth now. So they've got access to capital and they want to spend it, or if they want to, and they're going to sell their properties wherever they are, they're going to capitalize on that. And then they're coming to marketplaces like Kingston or wherever, or Halifax or the East Coast, or wherever they feel they want to land, to retire or do whatever they want to do, work from home for the rest of their careers or whatever have you. And then they'll go and get their waterfront property for $1.2 million or $1.5 million or whatever.
And it doesn't matter to them.
It doesn't matter. That's right.
More money to deal with. So.
Right. And those markets are staying fairly still stable, right? I mean, and again, it's about managing expectations, about tempering what your goals are, and with what's happening currently in the marketplace. What did we miss? I think, is there another stat there? Graph
No, I guess, I mean, the main ones that really people should be aware of is just the sale price and the trend that it's on, and then the number of homes kind of coming onto the market. Oh, I guess the last one that we're kind of missing is days on market. So how long a property's on the listed. This one's kind of hard to work with, just simply because, as Luca had said before, we're in that transitional phase where even realtors aren't fully sure about the best strategy. So they're canceling listings and relisting, which skews the days on the market
Sure
statistics. So
Yeah.
yes, there is a bit of a bump that's happening for properties staying on the market for an extended period of time, but not enough information to give a definitive answer of when it's changing. It used to be 6 days.
Yeah.
Hard to say where it's going to be headed.
Yeah. I would say the average right now, if you really dove deep into the stats, is probably hovering around 14 to 20 days or something like that. So again, pre-pandemic, we were in that market where it was taking less than 30 days for a property to sell.
Exactly.
In normal circumstances. And sometimes for the right property at the right time, you got multiple offers, even though you didn't hold offers or anything like that, because it just happened by organically, because of the market, because people, there's always a certain number of buyers that are looking in the same areas for the same types of houses, right? And that's always going to create that pent up, that demand, and those scenarios where your property can succeed in any market, really. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think we covered everything. I kind of wanted to say, just because I said we're out in the field every day and we're hearing, the cliches and the sound bites and everything like that, and on the news and all the rest of it and stuff. So we hope this has helped. Look at the information, and of course, at any time, if you ever want conversations or more information, feel free to reach out to any one of us, and we'd be more than happy to have the conversation. So
That's good.
All right,
Yeah.
thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you on the next one.